What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here on TCGU University for the card game UniVersus. My name's Tam, and today I'm going to be going over Akuma 2-Dot under Void. This deck is a monster. It's not your normal standard evil build. We are not playing cards like admission fees, but the deck is really interesting. Let's get into the weeds. All right, you guys, so this is Akuma 2-Dot. He is a really aggressive character. He's a 6-hand size, 26 life. He stuns out your opponent. He gets some massive damage, and he controls your opponent's check by flipping cards in his card pool. So a lot of the main ways that we're going to strategize for this character is by playing really strong abilities that leaves themselves in the pool, as opposed to normally we'd want to clear them, and we'll get to that in just a bit. So Akuma is right there. Starting off with the actions, we're playing one spell circle. We're only playing one because we're only legally allowed to play one. That's the card text. And it basically is discard a card for a free momentum every turn. So every turn I can just stack a momentum, and then almost all of my cards have a momentum out, whether it be powerful or EX or whatnot. And so just being able to discard a card, grab a free momentum, maybe that 3 damage is what does in my opponent. Up next, we're playing triple Revoke. Revoke is good on turn 1 for building and turn 2 for negating. Akuma negates a lot of attack cards. This negates abilities on those attack cards. So my attacks do significantly less whenever we are playing the game. Revoke's just an all-around good card. You probably could, even if you don't have Spell Circle or whatnot and have extra Revokes, you could be playing more Revokes if you wanted to. Super stellar card. Next, the best Akuma card that has been printed in a bit. We've got for the Togoro Brothers. Togoro Brothers is an action, that negates an ability on a foundation or an asset, and then you can either clear it from the card pool or draw one card. We always, 100% of the time, want to draw a card. I guess 99.9% of the time, want to draw a card because Akuma then gets to flip this inside of our card pool in order to -2 to somebody's check. This card is crazy in this character, and probably one of the things that pushes him over the edge from what used to be maybe like low A to now top A is just this card all by itself. On to the assets, we're playing double Kurita Yuga. Now, this card is really interesting in our Akuma deck. It is just really a win more card. It says enhanced twice per turn. This attack gets +2 to its stun rating. We are actually not running any attacks with, we're running only one attack with an inherent stun ability on it. But Akuma says all my attacks gain stun 1 by putting a card in face up or face down. And so with Kurita Yuga, the first 2 of my attacks have stun 6, which means that your entire board is committed, and I'm going to smack you for a whole heck of a bunch. We don't play any 3 damage attacks, I believe. Here's a 4, here's a 2. Yeah, we don't play any 3 damage attacks, so the second part is just not relevant. But I mean, committing 6 of your opponent's foundations at the very beginning of the game, or at the very beginning of every turn, super good. And the last asset we're playing is Shishio. This card's really unique because it says if my attack is blocked as opposed to responding with Akuma, I can just build it down. In addition to that, I can destroy cards in order to give my attacks more damage, so Akuma's just going to be even scarier. It's a 0 mid block with Breaker 1. There's not much to hate about this card. And this card's a really spicy tech, and maybe you could even want to play it like a 2 of if you don't have a double Kurita Yuga. On to the attacks. The first part of this is fairly standard. We're playing 4 Congo. We're playing 4 Susans. This card is a very obvious, easy finisher in Akuma. It has powerful 2 on it, since the Spell Circle. And we can use face downs in addition to momentum for the powerful. And so this card at the end is a very, very, very strong finisher. Super good in order to hold late, and it's a reversal. So maybe dumpster them for 10 to 15 on their turn. Not that great. Or they have to commit out because it's a 5 speed and you stun them 3 with a Kurita Yuga. Pretty strong stuff. And the other 4 Akuma cards that we're playing attack-wise are Dohatsu Shoten. This card is just ultra value. Add one in with Dohatsu, add one in with Akuma. This attack got +2, +4, and stun 1, possibly stun 3 with Krita. This card is just an absolute beating. And the worst part about it is Desperation 3, which means that with the Desperation keyword, it's possible to be playing these super late in the chain. The detriment, the hard part about playing Akuma is most of his attacks are on 5 diffs, and stuffing in that card in the card pool and not flipping says that you have to commit a foundation every time that you successfully check a foundation. But if you don't check a foundation, if you do check an attack, tapping 3 in order to play this is awful. But if you check a 3 when you're at Desperation, you just commit 1 and just blow them out. You just don't get punished for it. Really, really rad stuff. Onto the true spice of the deck. As you notice, we are playing this under Void. And so we are playing 3 Mop Strike. This card lets you filter your hand, and you filter your opponent's hand just a little bit. Discard a card. Opponent discards a random card, draw a card. If your opponent's discarded a card, draw a card. It basically says draw 2, get rid of something you don't want. It has stun 1, it has desperation 3, it's got a 1 mid block. The card's very fantastic in this deck, and it just helps us see these Kongos or Dohatsus whenever we need to see them a little bit later in order to push some damage later in our turn. Also super fine to just flip this guy over whenever we want to do some stuff with Akuma. On to the next card, we got Bug Spray at a 3 of. This card is a 3 diff with stun 1 inherently. It is a reversal, which means that I can stun 1 +2 to my stun rating, so I can stun 4 on the reversal. In addition to that, it is hand disruption, and if it happens to deal damage, it hits them for a little bit more. It burns them for 2. So with Akuma, this is at bare minimum 3 damage plus the burn 2, and that's only if this was the first attack that we played. It is a 3 diff, and so it's possible that we can play this a little later in our chain whenever we get later into our turn. And so just playing this card very late in the cadence is either make them discard an extra card because they have too many, or it's a 3 diff, I'll play it super late. Very, very strong card. And then my last card, this is one of the last attacks, we've got Kozoryu Repa. This card is kind of a YOLO card. It's got multiple 1, which is a good momentum out. It's super rad with Spell Circle. And it says if it deals damage, you basically just draw a fresh hand, which is an issue that Akuma has, is just drawing cards, especially under the Void symbol. And it's a 4 mid for 6 at minimum, 4 mid for 7, probably 8 because we multiple. This card is just a bunch of value. The issue is that it is a 6 diff, and it does not count. And the face downs in our card pool definitely still count towards progressive. So being able to play this late in the chain doesn't really happen. So we have to play it first. So the drawback up to our hit size, not always the super relevant part. And then my last attack in the deck, the scary one, is Ore Strike. This card has Desperation 3 as well. It says draw a card for each card that's been discarded this turn. Super rad, like really, really strong. And then Deadlock, your opponent discards 3 cards. So this card's got a 0 mid block. It's 4 low for 7, minimum 8 in Akuma. And we just like ultra punish them for discarding cards, which we are making them do because of how our deck works. On to the foundations, we're playing for the Power to Connect Realms. If you look at Ore Strike, which is like the coolest card in our deck, I'll bring it up next to it. This says they discard a card and I'll draw a card, and then with Ore Strike I'll draw an extra card if I've used this ability this turn. This card doesn't have powerful, but our cool Akuma attacks do. So we stack one of those in first and then play a Ore Strike afterwards. In addition to that, it doesn't count towards progressive whenever we play. Face downs don't count towards progressive, so we can play this late in the chain after an attack turn, and we still get to build a couple foundations. And it checks a 6, which is stellar in our deck. The next obvious 4 of is Enlightened by Defeat. This card is just a power card. Your attack gets +X for each face down in your card pool. With Akuma, if we toss 4 attacks, and I have 2 of these built, something's getting 8/8, which is impossible to block as a force attack, especially whenever I'm flipping and giving stings -2. This card just blows people out on a 1 diff, so you should be playing 4 of it in any Akuma deck possible. And then my last cool card is Voice of Reason. This combos really well with the Ore Strike. We both discard a card, draw a card. Akuma has an issue with drawing into some big kill turns, and so getting rid of foundations that we don't want at the time and then hopefully drawing into attacks. Super, super rad. And here's a cute little combo under the Void symbol. We're playing 3 not over till you die. You checked a Ore Strike, you checked a Susan, and you want to pick it up. We'll just put it on top of my deck, and then Voice of Reason, discard a bad card, and pick up my Susan. I'll play this on the reversal. Very strong, just 2-card combo in order to make sure that you filter into some attacks. I'll get rid of Ore Strike now. Onto a defensive piece, we've got Face of a Monster. 9 times out of 10, we're not going to be changing our zone unless we know something about our opponent's deck or opponent's hand that we shouldn't know. This is really just, hey, I need to be able to block something, and here it is. Make sure that they don't go to Deadlock, because Ore Strike and Face of a Monster at Deadlock is super, super strong. Discard 1 card with Face, discard 3 cards with Ore Strike. Just going to put them in a really negative, bad spot. Triple Telekinetic Mastery. This is just how we stretch out our 26 life a little more. Commit a card to make sure that we can easily block something, or commit a card so that we don't get smacked up so hard. Super relevant. The other discard ability is not so relevant, but I mean, maybe it might be. Triple Feifei. This is defense. Flip, -3 speed. Super relevant. It's on a 1 diff. There's not much more to say about this card. You should be playing at least 2 of it in every deck that has some symbols. Playing Triple Wear Light. This is a disruption card. This card says that you only get to play one enhance on an attack. It says flip, choose one enhance ability on one of my opponent's cards, and they have to play that. It does not say a ready card, and so you can choose a committed card. Like if you have got this committed Feifei, be like, hey, you have to play the ability on Feifei next, or pass your turn. Oh, you couldn't because it was committed and doesn't have playable committed? Hey, you take that. You passed? All right, I'll pass. Let's go to blocks. Super good card. I'm playing Triple World Without Battle. This card's a little more draw power, as well as it is like Feifei's older brother, because it's a T-diff, I guess. +3 speed, or +2 speed, or -3 speed if it's got a keyword. Fine card. Got a 2-low block. This card's fine. I like Akuma's other card as well. I don't remember the name of it, but the one that flips the card out resolution. I think it'd have been really useful in this deck in order to play those cards super late in the chain. Maybe next time I build it. We're playing Triple Uniting Rebels. It's a 6-check, which is super good with Akuma's core kit, as well as just stretching out that 26 life a little better. And it's really good building on turn 1. Onto the onto the 1-ofs, we've got 1 Esoteric Yoga. If they draw a card, let's make them discard it. Super rad with the whole game plan of I want to discard them as much as I possibly can, and then destroy -4 speed so I can block something late in the chain. 1 Retreat to Arctica. This just negates 1 attack. There's a lot of not 3 or more keywords happening in the game right now. There's plenty of 2 or less keywords, so this card might be a little less relevant, but making Akuma's life once again stretch a little further is super rad. Survivalist, same thing. I want to be able to negate an attack as much as I can, and so you give it a small baby pump, and I'll pop this and put it back to printed. Whether for blocking or for damage, both are relevant, especially in the meta. 1, the Pilot of the River Styx. This is a really interesting tech choice. It is basically out of your league, kind of. If they play a responsibility, you just burn them for 2, or remove after they play a non-character responsibility, cancel it. Only playable if they've discarded a card. A lot of our cards just make them randomly discard, and so you just be like, oh, actually, don't do that thing, or something along those lines. We're playing 1, A Soul in Purgatory, discard 2 cards, and then my opponent discards 1. It also has a really interesting synergy with Wearlight. Wearlight says, oh, where are you at? Where were you at? Wearlight says that they have to play an ability next. And Soul in Purgatory says response flip after your opponent plays an attack, you get the first enhance. And so from there, you just Wearlight enhance and pick something that they can't do. You essentially flipped 2 foundations in order to flash their attack. Not terrible if you're going to die. Besides that, doesn't have a great place in the deck. It's really just I'll discard 2, you discard 1. Let's put their hand size down as low as possible so that we can kill them on our turn. And then our last card is Curious Magnetism. It's a solid defensive card, making your opponent maybe not play some attacks, maybe make them play things a little suboptimally, and then just switch them. I'll block it, or switch them. I'll take 2. It was a 2-speed attack with 1,000 damage. Oh, hey, it was really fast. Yeah, it was super fast. I didn't block it. Alrighty, thank you very much for watching the profile on Akuma 2. Under Void. We had a blast making it and playing it for our campus championship. If you want to see those matches, go out to patreon.com/TCG University, sub at the $3 level, and you get all those games a whole week early. Otherwise, you can just go out to youtube.com/TCG University and get them when everybody else does. So from all of us here at TCGU, stay learned.